on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
It is time again as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie Usen doing his thing over there, working double duty today, producing for Mason Crosby, hanging out with our show as well. You work tonight too at the bar? I don't hear you.
Not tonight. I'm going to the Brewers game tonight.
Oh!
My dad asked me they had some client tickets, so late last night, he was like, "Oh, you want to go to the Brewers game?" I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Hell yes.
I'm down.
Dude, that's awesome. We'll go a little Brand Sprout action, Brewers and the Mets.
Josh is also going to the Brewers game tonight, so you're going to have lots of correspondence there.
He won't talk to you. Okay, so this is, I'm joking, he will. This is going to be an interesting show because I'm conflicted in numerous areas as far as where to go with the show. We have a rundown, but there are several things in my head that I want to get to. I literally told Charlie, don't post a question because I have to work through my brain right now to start off the show, and then we'll see where we go with it. So last night, we had the Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show, Tim Allen, myself. We were excited. Obviously, Brewers get the 8-3 win. One of those wins where you really weren't concerned the whole night, which seemingly is rare for this Milwaukee Brewers team, where there's not some concern at some point in the night that something's going to go wrong or you're battling your way all the way back. But there was a lot of different things you could look at with the Brewers offense last night, and you could be very, very excited, right? Now, you could be excited by the Cooper Press home run. Fine. Joey Ortiz, 3-run homer. Garrett Mitchell staying hot. I have my own personal bias at which I like.
You said you had never been to Milwaukee until as Vaughn sends one left center. And it's gone! Oh my goodness! He's gone Hank Aaron on us. Andrew Vaughn, just his third of the year. Bernie hits the slide. It's a 2-run home run.
That's great.
It is great. Andrew Vaughn. So the reason why I like that the best is because Andrew Vaughn has been lacking some, as they would call, slug for a minute now, where even before the All-Star break, the last couple of weeks before the All-Star break, I've been talking about the idea of he has got to get a game or two here where he hits a home run, has a couple doubles, and gets that power groove back, because he has not had that for a while. That's only his third home run of the year. You would ask me at the beginning of the year, I would have said 25 home runs at least for Andrew Vaughn. Now, part of the reason is they don't play him every day. That's obviously part of the reason. The other part of the reason is when they do play him, sometimes he's having to be a pinch hitter, which we've discussed is one of the hardest things to do in professional baseball. And even not in professional baseball, high school baseball, whatever level. You're sitting the whole game, not playing. And then it's like, go grab a bat and go win us the game now. Coming in cold, not having seen any pitches. That's a very, very tough thing to do. Not everybody is cut out to do that role and be very, very good at it. I don't really think Andrew Vaughn necessarily is cut out to do that role. Andrew Vaughn needs to play every day. So I thought that was a big, big positive from last night. Enough about the offense. On the pitching side of things, Jacob Misiorowski did his thing, right? 4 innings, 65 pitches. By highlight courtesy of Brewers TV before I forget. 4 innings, 65 pitches, came out. Brian Anderson talking about had him capped. Pitch limit. Had him capped at a pitch limit. That had to be what it was. Just had him capped. They didn't tell us that he was going to be capped, but that must be what was going on there with him. Pat Murphy, after the game, said this.
We would have probably let him go further if he was, his delivery and his legs felt great. And, yeah, I think he was a little bit out of it. The long layoff kind of affected his delivery and everything else. I think it was important to notice that and get him out of there then. His velo dropped. He couldn't find the rhythm on his heater and, went to all off-speed stuff. And I think it was important we got him out of there.
So he said after the long layoff. Here's Misiorowski after the game.
Felt like I, wasn't in my legs as well as I should have been. But,
No, I felt halfway decent. Good enough.
Okay. So Miz halfway decent, good enough. Okay, fine. 4 innings. Later in that little group session with the media, they asked him about pitching more in the next outing. He's like, well, yeah, I would assume I'll pitch more in my next outing, of course. And let's work our way up. Okay. Murphy talking about after that long layoff, mechanics were kind of all messed up. And what did we find out today from the Brewers?
That they will be giving him a little extra break, and that Brandon Sproat will be pitching after 4 days of rest instead of the 5.
Which is normal for the most part, right? Every 5th day you pitch.
But if they were going to do like the 6-man rotation, stuff like that, which is what we were talking about potentially,
correct,
they're not doing that.
So if this is going to become a Miz is going to pitch once a week thing, because that's what it's going to be, he's not going to pitch rest this week. If it's going to be a once a week thing with Miz, I am not mad, not disappointed. I feel like they're doing the right thing. They're playing to try to win a World Series. That I understand. We thought last year they would do something like this, and instead it was, he got hit on a comebacker to the IL, he goes, and he misses however many starts. So that worked out however you want to look at it. And then when Miz came back from the IL, you remember how that looked? Didn't look good.
Mm-hmm. Struggled a little bit.
Did not look as good as it did prior to the IL stint. Once he had all that rest, it took him a minute to figure it out, and it wasn't until the postseason where he locked back in again. I'm not going to tell you that I'm a professional body reader of, how somebody is thinking based on body language or facial expression, because I'm no better than probably anybody else is at doing that. You could just tell looking at that dude, Mizorowski, he was kind of irritated that he got pulled after 4 at 65. You could tell he was irritated by it a little bit, right? And now today, they come out and they say this. We're going to learn a lot about Jacob Mizorowski. A lot. Because you essentially now, by doing it this way, the way you've decided to do it, is you're asking him to put his pride and ego aside, sacrifice the Cy Young Award, and think team first and get to the postseason. Now, we've already had the one report from Robert Murray from Fansided last week that said they're not even talking about a contract extension. And that very well may be. And we have no idea how long Mizorowski will be this dominant in his career. We don't know if he'll be healthy his whole career and be this dominant every year. But when you are in the middle to end of July and you are the clear front runner for the Cy Young at his age, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, he'll have 3 or 4 more chances in his career. Sparky's freaking unbelievable. Young Sparky would have said, you're right. Old Sparky currently talking to you would have said, I don't think so. There are no guarantees in life. There just aren't. You don't know what you're going to have. I mean, tomorrow Charlie could be hosting this show because I die. Who knows? We don't know how this, but I'm just saying, we don't know how this is going to play out. You don't know what happens every day. Every day you wake up, open your eyes, and thank your lucky stars that, okay, I got another day. Let's roll. Let's see what we can do. Let's be the best we can be, right? So, yes, as much as Jacob Mizorowski and the Brewers may be like, dude, we know we're essentially going to blow this award for you, but it's all about trying to win a World Series, and you'll be a legend here for life if we win a World Series. Like, they'll build statues of you, Miz, if we win a World Series. That's what this is going to be all about. But you are talking about a young dude that just got here. This is his first full season starting, right? And he's got a chance to win the ultimate individual award in his first full season. And you're going to him and saying, we know, but team first, sorry, you're going to have to sacrifice that award here on the way out. That's why I'm saying I'm with the Brewers. Cool. I'm with you. Like, you have to have him for the postseason. You do not want to risk injury, potentially getting him hurt, losing the postseason, potentially losing all of next season. However, so to make it very clear, I am on the side of the Brewers of what they're doing. I'm just saying, from a young dude perspective, where he is, to ask him to, it'll be okay. I mean, that's a tough ask. I don't think at 22, 23, I'm not sure I would have handled it that well. I don't. I think I would have been pissed.
I'd be pretty mad too. And I'm the same age as Jacob Mizraski, a little younger than him. But when I look at this, and I get what you're saying, that yes, I agree with the overall concept of doing this to make sure that your team's ready to go later on in the season.
He's ready to go specifically.
But it's also kind of contradictory to what Mark Atanasio in this front office has done with their team overall over the past few years.
Right.
Not going for it, not paying guys, not doing all this other stuff, saying it's about a fun summer of fun and entertainment, and then to turn around and go to Jacob Mizraski and say, well, we need you for a World Series run just in case we get to that point, when you haven't had that type of rhetoric at all throughout this entire time that you've had this window of success with the Milwaukee Brewers. That's really frustrating. And if I was Jacob Mizraski, I would look at that and say, no, screw you. This isn't about the team. This is about you not wanting to pay me as much as I think I'm worth. And if I don't win a Cy Young Award in my second full season as a starter, that number goes down a little bit for you guys. And you can find any way to pay me less than what I want to be paid. So if I only win 3 Cy Youngs later on instead of 4, you can find a way to nitpick that and take money out of my contract. And that's what I'd be mad about.
Correct. And that's the other part about this too. I think if I'm Mizraski and I'm his age, and again, I'm much older than him now, but if I'm that dude and you're coming to me and you're telling me, hey man, we want you to sacrifice the Cy Young because we want you healthy to go win this World Series. We're going to go do this, right? Knowing me at that age, my response would be, you better do something at the trade deadline to show me that we're really doing this. Because if the trade deadline comes and goes and you don't do jack to really put us over the top, then I'm taking the ball every 5th day and I am pitching and you're not going to stop me. Or otherwise I'll file the MLBPA a grievance. Again, I'm saying
the whole country's going to know about it.
Yes, I'm saying young me. I'm not saying now. I'm saying young me in my 20s would have been brash and loud and would have been like, you better make a damn big splash deal at the trade deadline and prove to me that's really what this is all about. If you don't do that, I'm pitching every 5th day the rest of the way out, and I'm going to win the Cy Young. That would be my take if I was Miz. And I don't think he's that. But I'm just saying, if it was me at that age, that's kind of where I'd be at. Or if you're a mature, above your years guy, right, and you understand everything like you're 50, then you go, yeah, team first. I'm all in. Rah, rah. Let's go. Team first. Screw the Cy Young. I'm in. I can win it another year. If you're way above your years maturity-wise, that's a response. But that's a gigantic ask.
I think he would go in, and a lot of young people would go in thinking that they've earned every right to make this decision for themselves. Even if you are a young person, that shouldn't mean that you're not pitching like a Cy Young and that all of a sudden that you don't get to make decisions about your health. Like when he was talking, he says, well, it just, I guess, didn't feel like my legs were underneath me that much. That didn't sound like him. That sounded like he was disappointed. And that was just the reason he could come up with for why they took him out.
Said the same thing, though.
I know Murphy
used the same thing.
I also think Biz just says the same thing as what Murphy says, because that's what they tell him to do.
Well, fine. But the funny thing about Murphy was after a long rest, he was all screwed up, with his mechanics.
Wasn't that your decision?
And now you just put him on another long rest. Literally the next day, you repeated the same thing you just did of why you pulled him early because the mechanics were all screwed up. So now we're going to go do this again and think it's right. Fine. Nikolai Law talking text line. People are mad at me. What a surprise. Okay, so let's see. Where should we start? Oh, 414. Is this the first year Sparky has watched baseball? Every baseball team puts a young pitcher on a pitch count so they don't blow out their arm. Doesn't matter the record of the team. 414. Talk to me about Miz's pitch count last year in September. What pitch count was he on? Was he on a pitch count? I don't remember him being on a pitch count in September, other than he just wasn't pitching as good as he was prior to September. And in the beginning, when they first got him up here, he was getting yanked because his pitch counts were so high that they had to go get him after the 5th inning. He was doing a much better job this year of getting farther into games with less pitches, right? That's all part of it. And I agree with you, 414, that yes, and we've talked about it. Like you're talking about a 50 innings jump, potentially. He was on pace for like 195 or so before all this. And he only threw like 140 something last year. So that's a big jump. We talked about it last year on our show, Wisconsin Sports Daily. Charlie and I talked about it from the time he got called up. Like, this is going to be an issue. They're going to have to figure this out. But last year, It was in the middle of the season. There was no Cy Young talk. He wasn't in the mix for any individual award. This is not the same thing as if you tell Logan Henderson, hey, dog, you're going to have to miss a start here or there. Logan Henderson isn't close to an individual award or anything of the sort. The man's in position to win the biggest individual award a pitcher can win. Not a lot of guys are in this opportunity to do it. This is not the same as any other young pitcher on a pitch count. Yes, does it happen? All the time it happens. I'm just saying from his standpoint and how old he is, this is a big, big ask to have him understand and be okay with this amount. That's all I'm saying. 414, best record in baseball, and Sparky's finding a reason to be a hater against the Brewers. Yeah. So I'm guessing maybe these are a bunch of old guys that don't remember what it's like to be in their 20s and don't understand what the Brewers are asking of Miz. You can be mad at me. That's all. You can all be mad at me. Saying from a maturity standpoint, we've seen Miz on the mound, like me and Mug Murphy, and like, leave me in, right? I never saw Peralta do that. I never saw Burns do that. I never saw any of those other guys that came through here that were young guys. I never saw any of those guys talking to counsel like that from the mound. Leave me in. So he's got a little to him, right? He's all right to step up. That's what I'm saying. This is going to be interesting. I don't even have a question. I was just talking. That's why I said, don't put a question out. I don't have a question. We're just going to kind of talk through this. That's all I'm trying to do. That's all. But people are calling and texting, so I don't have a question, but y'all can hop aboard if you'd like. Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. Tom in Cedarburg, you're first up on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. What's up, Tom?
How you doing, Sparky?
I'm under fire already, Tom. What's up?
I'm older than you, and I agree with you 100%. First of all, forget the award thing. So the reason why he has more innings is because he's been pitching better, correct, commanding better, yep, and being more efficient. And now you're going to make him work out of rust every week?
Yep.
How is that? What I'm saying here, guys, is that I'm convinced this is helping him or the Brewers. I'm madder about this than the Gary Trent signing. I swear to God.
The Gary Trent signing is really stupid. I mean, this thing here, like, I get the Brewers standpoint of they're trying to protect him from getting hurt or running out of gas. Because I'm just telling you, that's the angle.
But see, Johnny Sain said years ago, you don't get stronger by sitting, you get stronger by throwing. And this is just idiocy. I'm sorry. I'm madder than you, Sparky, I think. But all right. I'm going to hang up and let you vent some more.
Thank you very much, Tom. I appreciate it. So Tom's livid. Do me a favor. Can you call up how many innings pitched Miz has right now? Just curious. Ziggy texted in and said, Miz just needs 162 innings to qualify. Are we suggesting that he needs 200 innings at his current excellence to win the Cy Young? No. What I'm suggesting is voters are going to look at how much he participates in the last 2 months of the season and potentially hold that against him. This is not a computer program that does the voting and determines who wins it. They can look at it and go, well, hey, man, and again, pick whoever you want that's in the race, right? This pitcher is pitching big games down the stretch for his team as they're competing to go in. Miz pitched 3 times in September or 4 times in September or whatever it was. This dude's been rolling the whole second half, and they've been resting Miz. So we're going to go with this guy to win the Cy Young because he was bigger down the stretch for his team. Now, would Miz have better numbers than other player? Potentially, yes. Will it matter to the voter? Maybe not. At the end of the day, remember, these are human beings that are voting. This is not a computer program goes, well, this player's the best numbers. He qualifies at 162. He's the Cy Young. If it was that would be different. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about human beings voting. And then if he doesn't win it, because of what we're talking about, the same people that are bashing me right now are going to be bashing all the national media writers that didn't voting for him and calling them a bunch of idiots because they didn't vote for him, even though you're being warned right now that this could go sideways on him winning the award.
Jacob Mizrowski currently has 115 innings pitched. If we look at
needs 50 more then.
If we look at 50. Last year's Cy Young winners, so Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens, in their campaigns last season, Tarek Skubal had 195 innings and Paul Skeens had 187.2. So you got to get close. Yeah, to 200 innings for sure.
Again, So, but again, to qualify, according to Ziggy, it's 162. So 162 is 50. So if you're going off of that's right, that's 50. That's 166. So that would be what? 10 more starts at 5 innings. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Right. So that would essentially be 5 starts in August, 5 starts in September, and potentially maybe, 4-4. Yeah, something like that. 5-5 or 1-4-5, however you get there, and at 5 innings apiece. The other part about all this is going to be, do they really slow play this in August, right? Because they have a comfortable lead, all of that. And then when they get to about the middle of September, they go, okay, now you're going back to pitching every 5th day. Let's ramp you up so you find your rhythm the last 2 weeks of the year going into the postseason, and we're going to try and get you back into your rhythm again. But then the guessing game is going to be, will he be able to get back into his rhythm? Because last year, it took him a month and a half before he got back into his rhythm off that IL stint. So that's the other part about this, that you just don't know. You don't know how long it's going to take him to get back into the rhythm again. John in Hartford, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, John?
Hey, Sparky. Couple of things. Number one, if they cause him to get out of his mechanics by doing this, that is what's going to lead to him getting hurt.
Potentially. Murphy said that last night, that was part of the reason that they pulled him, because his mechanics were all screwed up, and that leads to bad things. And that's because he had a week off. And then you announced this today.
And number two, not only will it cost him a chance at the Cy Young, but he's got a chance to win the Triple Crown of pitching.
That too. Yes, I didn't even put that into the whole mix.
He's 2 wins behind Ashby and Suarez right now. And last night would have been win number 11 if they let him go out for another inning.
Correct. One more inning, and they yanked him anyhow at 65 after 4. But you're right. They got him on a win there as well. Thanks for the call. So both callers that called in, both are concerned about this as well. If you read the text line, it's the end of the world that we're
there's
cause
people
of concern here. I got one here. Let's see here. From the 920. Guys, this is a simple solution. He's got to play baseball. Is a mental game. You have to focus and you have to be mentally prepared every day to play the best that you can. If he's going to be having all this up in his mind, is he trying to complain? It's just not going to work. He's gonna falter, and you guys are going to bail on your journey towards the World Series. So he's not a Brewers fan, or she is not a Brewers fan, right?
I think so. Or he's just speaking to the Brewers through us, maybe. I think is maybe what he's
I agree
saying.
that it's all a mental game. I'm with you 100%. And that is exactly why this, to me, is a big ask for this dude at this age mentally to accept and be okay with. I would have loved to have been in the room to have them explain to him the plan for the second half. You do assume they told him the plan for the second half, right?
Right.
I mean, he's just not finding out today like everybody else. That, oh, by the way, Sproat's going to take your spot, and we're going to push you back. I hope that's not how this is playing.
The other side of this, I know we keep talking about Miz through all this. Sproat getting the extra start out of all these pitchers and getting a little less rest in that time out of all these extra pitchers. Is that setting him up for a bullpen role coming in the postseason? Is he going to be the odd man out of all those young guys, and they're going to test all of them out too?
Who's going to be the bullpen guy, you're saying?
Sproat. Because he's getting more run in shorter stints. Let's see how many innings he gets today, too. I think that's the other factor. Like, it feels like they're setting him up for that.
Well, if they're going to go get a third starter, one of these guys are coming out of the rotation, right?
And I would assume it'd be Sproat because you're trying to get him worked up like that.
Maybe. Yeah, that would make sense. Let's see here. 414 says, I got to find all of them. I totally agree with Sparky. I also feel like our cheap owner doesn't want to win, and he has all but said that he only cares about profit. I don't see them making even a moderate splash of a move because that's not how this organization is run. They'd rather spend money on useless stadium upgrades. Hell, Miz, like Terang and William, have probably already played themselves out of Milwaukee because that's how bad our owner is. That is from the 414. That's why I'm saying, if I'm Miz at that age, just putting myself in his shoes when I was younger, that would be my thing. Okay, I'll do your plan for the second half, but y'all better make a damn big move at the deadline to prove to me that we're serious about going for this World Series. Because if all you do is get some middle reliever at the deadline and go, wow, we're going for it, I'm pitching every 5th day. Get out of my way. Like that's just going to be a thing. And I got one on here from the 414. Burns won a Cy Young. How's his season going? Yes, Burns won a Cy Young and got paid for winning the Cy Young. Burnes won a Cy Young, and the Brewers still couldn't win the World Series, and they had a front three. And yes, that's very disappointing in everything that goes along with it. That's all part of it. Burnes, if he would have been sad and done all this stuff, and again, Burnes was farther along in his career, but if Burnes would have been sad and missed the Cy Young, then he wouldn't have won the Cy Young, wouldn't have got paid as much, and they wouldn't have gone to the World Series still after all of that. Right?
Yeah, probably.
But instead, he gets the Cy Young on his resume, and what? That helps him get that gigantic contract, and then he blows out the elbow or whatever. And I'm not saying that Miz will be healthy his whole career, and I'm not saying that the Brewers are wrong. Like, again, as I've said, I'm fine with the Brewers doing this. All I'm saying is, from Miz's mental perspective of this, how he handles this is going to be very, very key to how this whole thing plays out going forward between him and the Brewers.
Well, and they've asked him to mature a lot as a player so far this season. He went and did that. So we'll see if he can do that mentally. I think he has the ability to.
We'll continue to talk about this. Talking text line's blowing up. If you want to jump on the phones, you can do that as well. Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250. Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, proudly outfitted by Burghardt Sporting Goods, our official apparel partner. Outfit your team or company with custom apparel today at BSG1881.com. BSG1881.com. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
No, it's in my locker, but I signed a bat. I thought I went in the bullpen. I was like, sweet, like we got the ball, and then Shocker came up to me, hey, Coop, I need you to sign a bat real quick. And I signed a bat, and we got the ball, so thank you to that fan.
Interesting to know what everybody would do in that situation. We're not going to get into talking about that right now. Cooper Pratt, though, talking about his first MLB home run ball, getting it back. All he had to do was sign a bat in order to get the ball, which is pretty cool. Some fans would actually hold it hostage and really demand a lot.
Yeah, I think I would, maybe not season long, maybe lifetime, like food pass. Like I get like 3 hot dogs every time I come to a Brewers game or something. See if you could figure out a deal with Mark
You
A
are
for
not
that.
serious.
Maybe get like
You want a food pass?
Yes, you got to get the most out of that, man. I feel like again, 3 hot dogs a game. Sure, 3
Hey,
hot dogs and a
Cooper.
soda. There we go. Okay,
Hey, Cooper, I don't need your dumb bat. I don't need a
No,
signed
man.
ball, man.
go talk to Mark. Give me the hot dog pass.
I want the owners down here now. I want free food for the rest of my time alive coming to this
Give
ballpark.
me the dog pass. Yes,
The
that's what I
dog
want.
pass.
You got to think big on these things, Mark.
I'm pretty sure you'd be the first one to ever ask for food at this whole
And again, I
process.
think Mark A would be so surprised. He'd be like, 3 hot dogs and a soda? Sure. Give it to him. He doesn't come to that many games a year, man. Sure.
Whatever. Who cares? That would be funny. That really would be. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer here. Charlie using over their other side of the glass. Just talking about the situation coming out today that they are going to skip Mizorowski, push Mizorowski back. Brandon Sproat's going to take his spot coming up this weekend. And talking about the idea that, you pushed him back this time, held him to 4 innings and 65 pitches. Now you're pushing him back again. And if this plan is going to continue, because as Adam McKelvey writes, the goal here is to deliver Mizorowski at full strength into the postseason. That's the Brewers' goal in all this. So they're going to, make sure they do everything they can outside of putting him into a bubble to get his butt there. And maybe it will be at the expense potentially of a Cy Young award, depending on how they limit his innings, how they limit his starts, and so forth. And I said before the break in the first segment that I'm fine with doing what the Brewers are doing. That's cool. But I'm just saying, if you look at it from a guy in his 20s who's in his first full season as a starter, is the leading guy right now, according to everybody, to win the prestigious Cy Young award. And now your team's coming to you going, we know that's cool. But even better would be if we actually win the World Series, we need you to focus there and just bypass that Cy Young award. That's just a tough ask. And that's just what we're talking about now is like how you handle that from, his perspective. James, south side of Milwaukee, you're on the Nicolay Law Talking text line here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, James?
Well, Sparky, I got to agree with you to some extent, but I feel this way that the Brewers ain't all in to win it. They just want to win their division and get into the playoffs a little bit. They're not going to the World Series at all. And even if last night with Peralta there, that used to be with the Brewers,
yep,
that they tried bringing him back with the Brewers, I'd tell the Brewers, hell no, I don't want to be back with you. I want to be on a winning team that's going to go all the way, not a team that's just going to win a division and just get into the playoffs a little bit like they've been doing in the last several years, and thinking that's good for the 2 to 3 million people that are in the stands, come out every year and get their little trinkets and stuff like that. That's not that. I don't feel that that's a doggone prize. That's a doggone disgrace. That's a disgrace. We should be playing for the whole thing, like Mark Ananasio used to do. He doesn't care now.
All right.
Doesn't seem like he cares. You know what I mean?
I got you, James. Thanks for the call, James. So a couple of things here on Peralta. Okay. First of all, if you didn't see the Peralta video of him after the game, dude is 1,000% in love with Milwaukee, the fans, the people living here, like all of that. That's one. So I don't think he's going to be like, I don't want to go with the Brewers. Number 2, the Brewers and Chris Hook helped get him his best year of his career last year. Peralta, is going into a free agent year this offseason. We talked about this last night in the Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show, Tim and I, about Freddie Peralta should be begging David Stearns to trade him to Milwaukee to get fixed in the second half, to increase his stock going into free agency. Because if he gets traded anywhere else and it still doesn't work, like it's not working with the Mets, he ain't going to make jack squat compared to what he could have made had he just been with the Brewers the whole time.
We've talked about the Boston Red Sox kind of holding off from making a trade with the Brewers. I think we say it jokingly, but there might be some truth to that. Do you think David Stearns ever will just like get like that, where he'll just get annoyed that Freddie Peralta didn't work out and that the Brewers just keep doing better without him and all this stuff, to the point where he'll be like, Freddie asked that question, said, hey, I want to go back to Milwaukee. Could you help make that happen? He would go, no, I'm done with them. I don't want to help you out. You're going to Oakland, or you're going to
I don't know. I've never been in that situation where, you know, you worked with somebody, that dude gets a high job, and now you're like, you know, he's like the APD or whatever at one radio station. I'm at another radio station. We're competing. They end up kicking your butt and doing all of that or whatever, and you're just getting your butt handed to you. Like, I've never been in that situation to know what that feels like. I don't think David Stearns would get bitter like that. But I wouldn't blame him. I mean, if he did, I mean, I'm sure it gets tiring. JB in the 920 says, I don't think I could love Charlie's food idea for someone's ball more. Genius, says JB in the 920.
Thank you, JB. I appreciate that. Again, you gotta think about this creatively. All right. You can get a lot out of these players, out of these owners, man. I believe it.
920, you want the ball? I want a seat behind home plate for the season. Says another one to the talk and text line. Tommy and Stalis text in, mandatory stadium upgrades per the league, marked it and choose to put the money into AmFam. Well, that's not necessarily true. They've been putting money into AmFam for quite a while, and they deserve credit for it. They redid all those concession stands a few years back. That was awesome. Now they did that whole outside area, which that was awesome.
Q hates. He was talking about on the Mason Crosby show. They built the dumb cow again, the giant dumb cow. I'm going to go play on the mini golf course. I really want to.
Why is he so mad? Why is Q so mad?
He just likes to rant sometimes. And I like listening to Q rant or reading Q's rant.
Does he not like kids? Is that the thing? He doesn't like kids running around the miniature golf course? Is that the issue?
I think he just really loves the Brewers and feels like the team isn't doing what they're supposed to sometimes. So the cow just feels like a slap in the face, but the cow's awesome, man.
If you don't like the mini golf course, then don't go by the mini golf course.
Q says he does love the cow.
It's a gigantic parking lot.
Q says, I love the cow. All right. Okay. Never mind. He's in on the cow. That's why he keeps talking about it.
So now it's okay.
I don't know if he's being sarcastic, but I'm going to choose to believe he's not. And he really does love the cow.
Yes, no doubt. From the 262. Now this is good. Sparky, you have a short memory. Yesterday, you told us how young baseball players need to grow up and figure it out. They were 10 years old. Miz needs to grow a pair if he doesn't like what the Brewers staff is telling him to do. I care less about the award. Remember, in Cruz Hook we trust, Patrick and Hubertus. Patrick, I wouldn't think you would care about the award either. You're not the one in the running for it. I don't think you would care. I don't expect anybody to care if he wins the award or not.
It doesn't affect your legacy or your paychecks in the future, any of that stuff.
To the idea of the young baseball players need to grow up and figure it out. Yes, we were talking about 10 and 12-year-olds with the opposing team chanting for their hitter to do well, and then everybody's got to shut up and be quiet so the other kid can throw the ball on the other team. That's what we were talking about. And yes, you do have to grow up and figure it out. And that's why we're talking about this with Miss Patrick, because his reaction is going to show us a lot about him and his maturity level, where he is right now. That's why we're talking about it. If Miz was in his 30s, I wouldn't be bringing this up. Dude's played 10 years or whatever in the big leagues, had whatever. I wouldn't be worried about it. But you're in your first full season as a starter with a chance to win the major prize. You haven't had your big contract yet. This would look shiny and nice on your resume when you get to that point in a few years.
Pitching around like 2 to 3 other guys that could also be 2 to 3 other of the greatest pitchers of all time, and like Paul Skeens and Shohei Ohtani. So you want to make a stamp on your legacy as early as possible. Like, there's so many storylines that I would be thinking of as a mid 20-year-old that in this moment, if I was in that moment, that I would be mad at the ownership, at the team for making this decision, even if it's best for the team. I would be a little selfish for sure.
Here's another one from the 414. I'll repeat this again. What's the point of trading for an asset just to prove you are all in? You don't just make a big splash move to make a big splash move. Moves are made if they make sense for the team, capital letters. Trading for Skubal may not make sense. Trading for someone like Casey Mize might. He's currently got a groin issue. If it were me, it's Mason Miller or no one. Then Chad Patrick can focus on being the 6th starter again, and you lock down the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Okay. Number one, yes, I'm all in if you want to go get Mason Miller. It's going to cost you a ton, however. And remember, he's been paid. So that goes on to your salary. Can you look up Mason Miller's salary? So that goes on to your payroll. Now, you had all that speculation and rumblings and rumors that came literally out of thin air from the Athletic MLB insider over one tweet. But if you want to sign Fisher to a long-term deal or Madej to a long-term deal or extend Contreras, past next year, whatever, this chunk of money that you would acquire from Mason Miller is going to nullify some of this with what he's getting paid. What is he getting paid?
So Mason Miller avoided arbitration this year with San Diego, making $4 million from them. He has 3 years of arbitration left after this.
Not bad. So,
but he's already making $4 million as a reliever. He's got 3 more of those. He's pitching
so
a great
he's
season
be
this
probably
year.
Somewhere around 17 or 18 by the end?
Probably. Yeah.
That's not bad. By that time, Yelich will be gone.
Yeah,
but
then you're
gone
paying
in
that,
2 years.
Do you want to pay that much to a closer? That's the next question. I think some other
if
people.
He's still throwing like that, yes.
But when you have Jesus Madej, who doesn't have a contract, Andrew Fisher, who as of right now doesn't have a contract, as far as we know, there's a lot of rumors.
But they would still all be on rookie deals. You still wouldn't be paying those guys at that point.
Well, Jesus Madej, you might be at that point again.
Maybe
if you jump the contract, same with Andrew Fisher. If you extend him to both those guys, you would think Madej at least is going to make at least $19 million because he wants to be above Connor Griffin, and Andrew Fisher is probably going to be around 16 to 17 if he keeps hitting the way he is. That's a lot of money for those guys.
If Matt Arnold respects Brewers history, he'll never do this because they literally have turned guys into closers that were working at other spots. They just always do. They've been doing it forever. That's been their thing. So I'm all in on making a move for Mason Miller. Yes, sure, I'm there. I just don't think they view it as a necessity. And especially if they think Uribe is a long-term answer at closer.
And especially if they have to keep Mason Miller. And I think they'd rather get a guy who's 1 year left on his deal and just have to move on from there.
I'm going to give you another name right here. We got to get to a break. But I'm going to give you another name. This dude just got to AAA, made his first appearance last night, and he had been hurt earlier in his career. So he obviously is going to have to stay healthy in order for this to work. Cameron Wagner is the dude's name. Right-handed pitcher. Made his debut last night. And people think he'll be in the Brewers bullpen by the end. 100-mile-an-hour plus guy. And he just got to AAA. Now, again, he's been hurt. So he's really finally on the scene this year. That could be a guy that if he pitches well in AAA, you could see in the Brewers bullpen before this whole thing is said and done. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen over there. Summer's better with a Frosty in your hand. For limited time, Wendy's is giving you a sweet deal on your favorite summertime treat. A small classic Frosty for only $1. That's right. Summer should be fun, not expensive. Treat yourself and celebrate $1 Frosty summer at Wendy's. Hurry, because this deal's over when the summer's gone. So get it while it's hot or, cold in this case. Maybe. Looking over here at the Dugout YouTube chat, we, of course, have our guy, Q, talking about the fact that he looked it up, and in fact, the Brewers are the only team with a mini golf course at their stadium, Charlie.
Pretty cool. Then he also adds, there have been 121 World Series, and 25 of 30 teams have won at least one. Brewers are one of 5 that haven't won it. But hey, we got a big cow.
Shut up.
See, he keeps going back and forth. Like, he says he's excited about the cow, but then he pretends not to be excited about the cow.
He's just trying to be nice. Anton says, in my opinion, the Brewers do know what they have and how special Miss truly is. Unfortunately, they're being overcautious, and if it's mechanics, let him work through it. Yeah, but again, if you go back and listen to what Murphy said yesterday, Murphy said that the reason his mechanics were all screwed up was because of the long layoff. Here it is.
We would have probably let him go further if he was, his delivery and his legs felt great. And yeah, I think he was a little bit out of it. The long layoff kind of affected his delivery and everything else.
See, there you go. There's Pat Murphy telling you the long layoff is what affected it. And now you come out and announce Sproat's taking his spot. Like, I don't know. I'm not a manager. Baseball coverage on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network is presented by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi. One price, 5 years, guaranteed. Xfinity. Imagine that. Coming up on the other side, let's turn it around and talk about something positive about the Milwaukee Brewers. Yeah, that's right. I'm coming with a positive topic next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
It is a Tuesday, and we are broadcasting live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Charlie Sounds of the Day coming up here at 3:40. There was two topics I wanted to do in the first hour, and I told Charlie, don't put out a topic because I don't know where this is going to go. We're just going to go with what's on my brain, and it blew up because y'all had a problem with what I was thinking, which is fine. So one of them involves the PJ Tucker piece, but it's not really Bucks related. It's more all teams related. So I wanted to get to that at some point today, and hopefully we will. And then the other one was the topic I wanted to lead with concerning the Brewers. And then I got a different topic here at 3 o'clock concerning the Brewers. So I had to make another executive decision on where to go with what topic and when to do it and all that stuff. This is what happens. You got too much stuff going on in this show, not enough time. So it's 3 o'clock. So we are going to continue to talk about the Brewers. If you're not a Brewers fan, I'm sorry.
It's time to talk about the Crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right. So, as negative as y'all were about me, I want to try and be positive, right? Try and be positive. Not like Q over there talking about the fact that might as well have a mini golf course because they're never going to win a World Series or whatever the hell he said.
He says, yeah, you got to build up the entertainment. He's not being positive. He's just being business-minded or negative. He's being business-minded. Yeah.
No, negative was the right word. You used the right word and then took it away. So we're not going to be negative. Here's the question. And this is, I think there are a bunch of right answers to this question, right? You and I are not going to fight about right answers on this question because I think there's a bunch of different good, positive answers. But I think it's fun to talk about this because to a certain degree, even though there's no World Series for the Brewers, and this has been a hell of a run where they're sitting on top of the division year in and year out, year in and year out. I mean, this is Packers type run with Favre and Rodgers, where they kind of just own the division for a long time. And remember, prior to them owning the division, who owned the division? The Cardinals. Forever, outside of like a year or two when Rizzo and Brian and those guys were doing their thing in Chicago. Outside of that, it's been the Cardinal way for so long with La Russa and Matheny. And now you essentially have what I like to call the Brewers way. We'll just steal it from St. Louis. What do you think it is that has made the Brewers so consistently good for the last decade or so? What do you think it is that allows for this team to year in and year out? Players come, players go. Managers go, managers come, managers go. Coaching staffs come, coaching staffs go. GMs come, GMs go. And through all of this, there really hasn't been a dip at all. The dip was expected in Murphy's first year, and it did not happen. And now we're just climbing up even further than we were before. You set a franchise record in wins last year, and now it looks like you potentially could win 100 games this year, which would be another franchise record. You sit with the best record in baseball right now. After most projected you somewhere between 84 and 86 wins in the offseason. And you're going to go beat that by 14 or 15. Said it yesterday. They ought to just call the Manager of the Year award the Pat Murphy Award because the dude's going to win it 3 years in a row. He's going to win it 3 years in a row. Just call the Pat Murphy Award and quit giving it to him. It's all done. It's getting boring with him. He doesn't want to go make your trip anymore. Fine, Pat Murphy Award. You know, you got the Vince Lombardi Award. Call it the Pat Murphy Award. It's absolutely crazy. So what do you think it is that has made the Brewers so consistently good for the last decade or so? This is going to be positive. Y'all aren't going to be allowed to be negative on this one. This is a positive topic. Now we'll get like 2 responses because we're being positive, right? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. I guess I'll start. It's the owner of the baseball team. That's where I'll start. Now, you can be mad that he doesn't spend enough money. And I will tell you that is probably fair. I don't know what their books look like. They know what their books like. Nobody else does. They don't have to open their books like the Packers. So I don't know how much they're profiting, how much they're all taking home between him and the other owners and all this other stuff at the end of the day. No way. No idea. But if you go back over the history of this organization since he took over, when he bought this team from Wendy Seelig-Breed, he could have fired Doug Melvin. He could have fired Rick Schlesinger. He could have got rid of both of them and said, hey, man, I'm bringing my own people in. With all due respect to Wendy, I'm sure you're both great, but I'm going to bring my own guys in. It's essentially what Lazary and Edens, those guys did, right? They came in, brought all their own people in from New York. Bunch of dudes from Madison Square Garden all came rolling up into Milwaukee and said, this is our team, our show. We're going to do it our way now, right? That's what they did. And Tanasio did not do that. He came in and said, hey, man, I'm just a fan, right? Y'all know the business side. I'm going to try and learn the business side as much as I can. Now, did he meddle? Extremely meddle from the jump? Yes. And what I mean by meddling, I'm not saying he like negated deals or anything, but he was constantly on the phone talking to everybody throughout the day, every day, trying to get the lay of the land, what's going on, who's in the lineup, why is he in the lineup, why that, all that stuff. To be fair, if one of us won the lottery and owned a team, I'm guessing some of us may act the same way, right? So you go through that process. Now it comes time to try and figure out how you're going to get into the postseason. You took the team from honeymoon level with Doug, where they were really bad, and then Fielder and Braun. Now you're trying to figure out, how do I get over the top? I've had my enough of Ned. We're done. See ya. In Chicago. Adios. In comes Swaim. In comes Yount. You do the Sabathia deal prior to that, and you get yourself into the playoffs, break the drought, party at Summerfest, all that stuff. Fast forward. Now, Renicky gone. Melvin tells the trader, hey, man, I know you're in the front office, but I'd like you to go down there and see about this. See if you can just do it. See where it goes. See how it goes. All right. So he goes down there. Then Melvin's like, and I think I'm going to be getting out now. What the? You got to be kidding me. Again, Mark is now involved. He has to make this decision on who the next guy is. This is his deal. Melvin's going to give his thoughts. He's going to interview these guys. He's going to have his say on who he likes, who he doesn't. He has to make the right hire at that point. He did. Stearns was the right hire. And Stearns then got you Matt Arnold, who, again, when Stearns leaves, Mark could have said, I'm going out of house. I'm bringing somebody else in. With all due respect, Matt, I'm going to go get somebody else. He didn't. He stayed in-house and just promoted the guy under Stearns and said, I think you can do it. Let's go. There were many opportunities for this thing to go completely sideways and wrong if he made the wrong move at any one of those decisions where he could have made a wrong decision. He simply has made the right decision time after time after time after time in the key roles of authority. Let's invest more money in our international scouting, in our international academies. He had to sign off on that when Stearns and Melvin and these guys all wanted to do it. He had to sign off. He did. Again, could have said no. That Portland Trailblazers cheap owner over there. Have you been watching this in the news? Mm-hmm. The stadium fight or whatever they got going on? Oh my God, that dude is a piece. But anyways, so he signs off on that. Go do it. Stadium stuff in the stadium. Okay, we're not doing what we want in the suites. Let's start combining suites for more group sales. Let's start doing other stuff to keep this thing updated. There are so many things he did. Yes, you can be mad about payroll. 1,000%. You can be like, he should be spending at least $30 million more a year. And I totally get it. But if we're talking about what really has made this as good as it's been over the course of time? It's him making the right decisions at the top of the food chain and not getting them wrong, Charlie.
Well, and I think a lot of that is him also taking a step back when a lot of other owners would be meddling, like you're talking about.
Dan Snyder.
And being willing to
Jones.
say, you know what, I have a lot of smart guys underneath me. I trust them to get their jobs done.
Yep.
So, yes, he does get a lot of credit for taking a step back for sure, because other guys wouldn't do that when you have so much money on the line as the owner of this team. At the same time, I think that piece of the pie, while maybe the first piece of the pie is a thinner piece of the pie than the guys actually getting the job done. And Matt Arnold has been so phenomenal. The scouting department has been so phenomenal. What these guys have been able to do, not only in the international scouting department, but in the American scouting department too, through the draft, they've gotten a lot of players that have at least come up to the Brewers at the major league level and at least showed that the Brewers can move on from them eventually, but gave them enough service time where it was helpful throughout a certain period of time, or that this guy can be a part of the future of this franchise. And you never really feel down on any of these Brewers prospects. That's so cool. Like, that's so weird. I've looked at the Cubs prospect list and say, oh, that guy at number 5 feels a little high for him. I don't feel that way with the Brewers. Every single Brewers prospect is like, that guy probably could be higher in everybody else's scouting department, but I love that he's just awesome. It's so cool to look 1 through 10 and say, you know what, I feel like there's bright futures for every single one of those 10 players. And that all goes back to what Matt Arnold has been able to do. And then the coaching staff,
Johnson. Yep.
The coaching staff throughout that time, as much as we want to hate on Craig Counsell and his decision to leave for the Chicago Cubs, I think at the same time, he started a lot of this kind of ideas with Pat Murphy as the bench coach that has allowed this team to start flourish and take control of their mentality now.
So I don't remember what show this came up on yesterday because I did 3 of them. But on one of the shows, somebody brought up, was Matt Arnold really the man behind the man with David Stearns, as far as Stearns not being successful in New York like he was in Milwaukee? I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he was instrumental in a lot of the decisions they made, but I don't want to take away credit from Stearns. You can make the exact same argument about Pat Murphy with a trader and him going to Chicago.
And would you agree with it then, or would you have the same kind of opinion as you do with Arnold and Stearns?
No, I think this is my take. Anytime you're in a position of authority and you're a boss, they always tell you the same thing. All successful people tell you the same thing. Surround yourself with smarter people than you, and you'll be just fine. Like, that's the thing. If you're the smartest person in the room and everybody around you isn't as smart as you, you're probably going to be in some trouble before this is all said and done. That's what you read them in leadership books and management stuff and watch videos. They always tell you the same thing. And that's why it's so critical to have a great team of people around you and keep them around you as long as you humanly possibly can. So for the trader to have Pat Murphy, a guy that he trusted from his time at Notre Dame and all that other stuff, was a brilliant decision, right? He was going to give him perspective that he would not have had if Pat Murphy was not on that bench. If that would have been, say, Ricky Weeks instead of Pat Murphy, that could have gone completely different. I'm just saying, not because Ricky Weeks couldn't handle it, but it's a different perspective. And he doesn't have as much experience in managing. So he may not have pointed out different situations or how to handle certain players in the course of a season and how to read this guy's tired, or we got to talk to this guy about this, and I don't like how that guy's looking, and that type of stuff, where when you're a older dude who's been around the game longer than the other guy, you can point these things out and be a helping hand. And as far as Arnold goes, look, man, I don't think you can ever have too many eyeballs on prospects, on players, or so forth, right? When you have, I'm trying to come up with something where you actually see it. You have the NFL draft. There's not 2 people in that room. There's not 2 people in there.
That's an entire room full of people.
Full of scouts and directors and coaches and all
interns
this.
even. Like,
and
it's
all these
everybody.
people have watched film on a lot of what they're looking at their draft board, trying to figure out who they want, right? As many eyeballs as possible. So when you're putting together this front office and this scouting department, all this stuff, and Todd Johnson and Matt Arnold and these guys, man, it's critical to have guys that you trust, that they know what they're looking for, and you believe in the same things they believe in as far as what they're looking at in athletes. When David Stearns was here, what did he believe in? He believed in up the middle, young athletic guys that could play literally up the middle. So second, short, center field. Those were the dudes that he drafted and went.
And you've seen that with his tenure with the Mets as well.
Correct.
Trading for Francisco Lindor, drafting Pete Crow Armstrong, and then trading him away, but at the same time still drafting that type of player. Like, that's what he's looked for. Yeah.
When you look at Arnold, he's gone for guys with power. He's gone for bigger bodies, taller guys. He's kind of gone away a little bit. Well, maybe more than a little bit away from what David Stearns was doing. And I was a big fan of it because he was drafting no power for the most part. Stearns wasn't. And I always joke, if Stearns was a GM instead of Melvin, they never, ever would have drafted Prince Fielder. There is zero chance he would have drafted Prince Fielder. It never would have happened. All right, let's go to, so the question is, see, this is what happens. We get off talking. I got text messages and everything else. What do you think it is that has made the Brewers so consistently good for the last decade or so? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250. From the 414, hey, Sparky, Jeff in Milwaukee, good question. Just keeping a bunch of young, hungry guys that want to play baseball. No $40 to $50 million a year, better than thou dudes. Yeah, I think that definitely is a part of it. No question. And because when you have that guy that's making a ton of money, that then shapes what the rest of your roster can look like if you don't have a ton of money like the Dodgers, right? So maybe you can have one of those dudes if you're the Cardinals, and then after that, you've got to build down from that top of that peak of that hill. For the Brewers, the peak of that hill was the guy making $24 million in Yelich, and then building down from Christian Yelich. Now, depending on what happens at the CBA, maybe you can get to the point if there's a salary cap floor where it's like 170, maybe you can have 2 or 3 of those $20 million guys and then build down from 3 guys instead of 1 guy.
And you probably have 2 to 3 of those guys on the current roster. Should be pretty easy to find those deals and get them done. William Contreras, Bryce Terang. You can look in the farm system. Again, Jesus Madej needs a contract soon. That's a $20 million a year guy probably.
Totally agree. Brian in McGuanago, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Brian?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I think what's really happened is kind of a trifold thing. I think one is I think their scouting system is sound. They've picked a great, and that's where it all starts. I don't care what kind of manager you got. You can pay a guy $50 million dollars a year, like the Mets are playing for 100 years to that player that hasn't played in 10 years. But what it is, the scouting system is sound, and I think Arnold's done a great job. But you have to give a lot of credit because I think one thing, the best thing that happened to the Brewers is when Counsell took off for Chicago, it kind of opened up Pandora's box and let Murph do what he does. No way would Counsell have ever played the young guys like Murph does. He really makes them feel part of a team, and so when they get up to the plate, they're not nervous. They've been there before. They have a confident attitude. And I think Murph is kind of like the uncle, the father, the big brother that some people didn't have. And he brings that nurturing fatherly, and he doesn't leak stuff out in front of the media like Earl Weavers and the managers of yesteryear. He keeps everything in house. I'm sure he's stern behind the scenes, but they keep it behind the scenes. And that's what solid families do. And you can just see the unity. When a Brewer hits a home run, they're all by the edge of the dugout on the plate. Everybody's up. There's no, I'm the king of this team, and if I'm not producing, we stink. They depend on everybody, and I just think that those are the things that made the Brewers a solid organization for many years. And Murph is just that guy. He keeps an even keel. I mean, how many managers in the history of baseball have you ever seen their kids at a podium or the press conference?
Yeah.
0. He just makes everybody feel like they're involved, even to Sophia Minard. I mean, it's just incredible feeling, and it's like people really want to be here. And I feel like Murphy is kind of like now going to be that Reggie White of the Packers, where people are going to be. I mean, look at Culler's interview yesterday where he said he wanted to come to Milwaukee. He waived his no trade clause. He just likes the atmosphere of the Brewers, what they've done the last several years, and that made him do it. How often would that happen? I mean, McCullers is a 2-time World Series champion. Why would anybody want to come to Milwaukee, right? It's the system and the foundation that they've developed for the last 10 years. And it's just all the way through. And I think the scouting department doesn't publicly get enough credit for what they do. And I just don't think that Arnold gets enough credit. You know, they talk randomly, but he's done a solid job. I mean, look at their minor leagues. I had a question for your 420 hour, but I'll save that for later. I don't want to hold up anybody else. But I just think that the Brewers are solid, and they can sustain. Look at all the injuries they've had the last year and a half. Pitching, devastating pitching injuries. And they just keep plugging away. They bring these guys in, and they get in there, and they listen to the pitching coaches. which one might have the best pitching coach in all of baseball, and they develop and they play, and all of a sudden they're totally different. Harrison's a perfect example. Nobody wanted him, and look what's going on. So I just think that it's exciting to go to a Brewer game, and there's one player that I think really in this league right now, if the Brewers went out and traded for him, could really make the Brewers probably co-favorites to win the National League. He brings everything that they need, power, average, and I just think that with Murph at the helm, a company's only as good as its leader. And I think Murph just keeps an even keel, one game at a time. We're 0-0 today. We're 0-0. And they keep that mentality and they keep pushing. I don't think they've had more than a 4 or 5 game losing streak all year. And half of the players are young.
Correct. They are young. Brian, thanks for the call. I got to let you go. This is the whole trader not playing young guys thing. I don't agree with that. Listen, if Matt Arnold gave him young guys or David Stearns gave him young guys, he's going to play the young guys because that's what he has for a roster. Plain simple. You may not want to play them, but that's all you got. You're going to have to run them out there, coach them up, teach them up, figure it out. And Murphy's in the same deal. Like, he knows part of the deal being in Milwaukee is you're going to have to play young guys. They're going to have to get experience as they go, and then you're going to build from that. And this, I'll lay this out real nice and pretty for you. Where we are right now is the baseline of where they're going. Because as the young pitchers get better and are here, they're just going to get better as we go over the next, say, 2 to 3 years, right? Now, Turang's get a couple more years, and he's going to continue to grow, and he's going to continue to get better as well. Churio's going to continue to grow over the next 2 to 3 years, and he's going to get better. And over the next 2 to 3 years, Madej's going to come, Fisher's going to come, Adams or Blake Burke are going to come. You're going to have Caro or Dinges coming as catcher. Like, it's going to just get better from here, especially from an offensive perspective. I don't think you people really understand how great they're going to be offensively. Now, again, maybe they all don't work out because they're prospects. Maybe they don't all work out. But right now, the way they're tearing it up, this does look like the Fielder, Braun, Weeks, Corey Hart, J.J. Hardy group kind of coming offensively. This next wave, there looks to be like 6 of them or 7 of them, 8 of them. I don't know, 10 of them. Maybe more than that, depending how far down you go. And then you got guys down there that are 17 right now, like that Frias kid. That's just absolutely tearing the cover off the
Ricky
ball.
Moniz.
And Ricky Moniz is another one. There's a bunch of dudes that are like 17, 18. They have a whole nother group of 17 and 18-year-olds right now that are making a name for themselves around baseball that are going to be coming up behind this next wave in the next, 3 to 4 years. It's just insane.
Unlike those teams, you have a Jacob Mizorowski then pitching.
Correct.
You got Logan Henderson. You got a bunch of young pitchers that are still top 20 in your farm system too that people are excited about. So not only do you have J.J. Hardy, Ryan Braun, Ricky Weeks, Prince Fielder, but now you got Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff coming up with those guys. That's pretty cool.
And Brian brought up Lance McCullers about how he wanted to come to Milwaukee. This was him afterwards last night.
Yeah, it was good. Thought William did a great job with the pitch mix, and defense is excellent here, so can trust that. And had a nice first, nice second. Ran a little trouble in the third, but that happens, and got worked out of it, and put us in kept us in a good chance for GA to come finish up.
I don't know what y'all are thinking watching Lance McCullers last night. I was laughing. I was here. I was just laughing. He gets through the first inning. I'm like, come on, dude. First time he goes out, he looks like this. He goes out.
We did the same thing with Joel Cuno.
I know, but he goes out the second inning and goes through 3. I was like, oh my goodness gracious, this is not real life. They brought him out for the third inning. I was like, now we might be pressing our luck. What are we doing? Like, he had 2 scoreless. That's good. Let's move on. But they were trying to get him as far along as they could, and he almost got himself all the way through it without getting scathed. He really only gave up 1 hard hit last night. Mm-hmm. That was it. The one ball got laced in the right field corner. Outside of that, there was nothing else really hard hit against him.
Well, and he's had his flashes so far this season. There was a line
drive that Ortiz caught.
He's had 2 games with Houston earlier in the year where he had 9 strikeouts. Like, he's had good games this season too. I think the Brewers recognized that and saw that they could still get some juice out of that.
Yeah, which is always a good thing. Let's go to Mike in Waukesha. You're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Flyver. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Sparky. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the first call has hit it pretty good. The drafting is phenomenal, and the player development is phenomenal. But I also think you can't take Murphy out of the occasion or out of the situation, because I think he really likes competition. And if you don't play the game the way he wants you to play it, you are going to be sitting on a bench, and there's always going to be somebody behind you. So you have a certain level of competition, and we've never had that before. We've never had the depth on our baseball team that we have now. I just think that competition has a lot to do with things. People seem to perform better when they know there's somebody waiting to take their job from them. And just one thing, Murph, if you're listening, though, tonight, could you please sit down Bowers? He's like 6 for 31. He needs a little rest. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Mike, you must have been listening to me and Charlie in the last break. Thanks for the call. You must have been listening. Bowers didn't have a hit since the All-Star break. And Tommy Wirtz, when he left, his last day was that Friday. They got rained out that night against the Pirates. He got 2 hits that weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Then the break, no hits since then. And Charlie and I were just having this conversation in the break, and I was like, okay, you play him tonight. But if he goes 0 for again, then he doesn't play tomorrow, and he gets off Thursday because the Brewers have a day off Thursday. Then you bring him back Friday and see if he's got a refresh or reset his mind. I said, but if Bowers goes, say, 0 for 3, but has 2 rockets that he hits solid and barrels up, then maybe you put him back out there tomorrow hoping he finds a gap or something and gets himself back on track. But you cannot continue to let this keep going without giving him a day off.
I said that they should give him a day off tomorrow, no matter what. I don't care if he has 3 hard rockets off the bat today. Doesn't matter. If he goes 0 for 3, you have to give him that day off. If Andrew Vaughn plays well tomorrow, and then they come out Friday, and Andrew Vaughn is not the starting first baseman, and they don't find a way to get Jake Bowers in the lineup somewhere else or anything else, I'm going to be mad at Pat Murphy. I haven't been mad at Pat Murphy very much in his tenure as Brewers manager. I would be mad at Pat.
You could say that I jinx people and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I've never ruined a man's career before.
No, I don't think so.
Tommy Wirtz might be on his way to ruining Jake Bauers' career.
That might be the case.
I'm just saying. I mean, if Jake Bauers goes back to being Jake Bauers previous to this, just saying. I mean, Jake may go up to Green Bay and pay Tommy to come down just to carry his luggage and stuff with him and just walk around.
There you go.
Be his
Tommy
assistant.
Would say yes.
He would say yes.
Sign me up, man.
Tommy would leave his girl and be like, I'm out of here. I'm going to go be Jake's
Jake
guy.
Bauers jersey every day, man. Yeah.
No question. There's no question. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Hey, don't forget, join Mitch Thunder Nellis and the leadoff show at Explorium Brew Pub in the Third Ward tomorrow at noon before Milwaukee plays the Mets. Then hang out and watch the game while Mitch broadcasts the Mason Crosby show till 2 p.m. here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Again, Explorium Brew Pub down in the Third Ward. It is an awesome, awesome place. It used to have like a train back in the day. The owner and the people that work there tell you the story about this whole part of the building. It is such a cool building. So go check it out. Great food, great drinks, all that fun stuff. Take a quick time out, come back. We'll read some of these texts. Got a bunch of people in the dugout YouTube chat as well here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Hope you all are well here on a Tuesday. Our fine folks over there at Wendy's want to hook you up. Minions really wanted to impress the new big boss, Wendy's. So they cooked up some fun chaos for the fans. Say hello to the Minions and Monsters meal, featuring one of 4 unique collectibles. New Banana Frosty Swirl. Get the chocolate. Your choice of a big bacon classic or spicy chicken sandwich, plus a small fry. It's time to go bananas over this exclusive Wendy's experience, limited time only. We'll get to Charlie Sounds today here in just a little bit. Some text coming in. The question was, what is it that made the Brewers so consistently good for the last decade or so? From the 262, 3 reasons for success. Young players who are talented and hungry, and they don't hold on to them too much past their shelf life. Managers, the trader and Pat Murphy are top-notch. GMs building organizational depth and the pipeline from Central and South America. The international scouting is just, it's such a huge part of this as far as how much they've hit. And this is Matt Arnold, what we're talking about here. I mean, you hit Churio, now you hit Madej, Pena looks like you hit on him, and now you got this new young group coming in here, our 17 and 18-year-olds that are going to start going this year. My goodness gracious.
Well, and you've inspired other teams to follow along. I mean, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the reason they're so successful is because they have a pipeline set up in Japan, the same way the Brewers do in Central and South America. The Dodgers have pipelines there as well. There's other teams that are following along in the same way in other countries that are trying to copy what the Brewers are doing. That's a pretty big compliment to what you've done.
I agree with you. 608 if the Brewers win a World Series, all of these other seasons will be remembered as building blocks. I'm so proud of this team and pray for a World Series. I'd like to do that as a topic tomorrow. I'd like to do it as a topic because in the NBA, history tells you teams have to get through teams before they can bust through and win a championship, right? So if you go back, in the day, the Bulls had to get through who? The bad boy Pistons type deal. The Pistons had to get through the Celtics. So everybody normally has that team that they've got to bust through and get by before they can finish at the end of the day. The Dodgers may be that team for the Brewers. And we were talking about this last night, Tim Allen and myself, doing the Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show. As far as, one of these routes that probably makes the most sense for the Brewers is you have, say, Philly knock the Dodgers off on one side, you sitting in that one seed, take out whoever comes from the wild card, whoever that is, and then it's you and the Phillies in the NLCS. That probably might make more sense as far as how the Brewers get to the World Series more than trying to go up against that gigantic force, the LA Dodgers.
Yeah, but wouldn't it just be so cool to just beat the Dodgers? Like, yeah, that would be nice because that's the easier path. That's that's the logical path for sure. But also, like, I just want to beat the damn Dodgers.
Listen, and I feel you, okay? This is not the year. This is the wrong year to do that. Because if you do that this year, while I will be excited, World Series and all that, it will be used against us in Milwaukee as far as why there does not need to be a salary cap, and none of this needs to be a thing from a CBA standpoint. It just is. Last night I was like, it could be Brewers and White Sox in the World Series. It was like, that would be awesome. I was like, no, it wouldn't, because it'd be 2 of the smaller markets sitting in the World Series, and the owners would be screwed from getting anything done.
That effectively just kind of end the CBA negotiations too, though, at the same time. So yes, you wouldn't get the salary cap and we'd be frustrated, but then the Brewers go and are in, maybe win a World Series. Brewers fans aren't as mad then at that point because they're going to be high on a World Series victory. And then B, like, the owners have nothing to stand on that. Then all of a sudden the owners are done and this whole thing ends, and the whole idea of this super long strike that we're talking about potentially goes away.
I would be very happy if we did not have a super long strike.
That's what people are mad about. It's not even that there's salary cap or no salary cap. That's what the players and the owners are discussing. What the fans want is just baseball to happen.
I got another text here. Charlie, you can find a couple on the Dugout YouTube chat over there. Larry in Tosa on the Nicolay Law Talking text line says, does David Stern's failure in New York keep Matt Arnold from leaving for a bigger market? I think I can handle this one myself.
Okay.
If you don't want him to leave, pay him what he deserves. If you're okay with him leaving, then lowball him. Don't pay him what a bigger market's going to pay him, and that's going to be the end of it. I don't think this is any different than anybody else. If he's making, I don't know what he's making. Let's say he's making $2 million a year as the Brewers GM right now. And the Yankees, Brian Cashman leaves, retires, whatever. And the Yankees come in and they offer him $8 million a year. And Mark goes, yeah, I'm not paying that. Well, bye, Matt Arnold. It's been real. And then we hope we can keep the train going without Matt Arnold. I do not think that Matt Arnold is leaving for a dream job. Matt Arnold's favorite team growing up was the Oakland Athletics. Matt Arnold never has a pretty face when you bring up what's going on with the Athletics and how that whole thing played out. So you have no fear of him leaving for a, quote, dream job like Stearns did for New York. That we all knew was a possibility, and it ended up happening. It doesn't appear Arnold has that right now, unless it's, I want to go back to Tampa and go do it where I came from. Maybe, but that's the same thing you have here. And with all due respect to Rays fans, Brewer fans are way better at supporting their team and doing everything else. So from that standpoint, I could see him here for a long, long time, as long as Mark is willing to pay him top dollar. Because with all due respect, if Pat Murphy is winning 3 Managers of the Year awards in a row, you know what that means? Matt Arnold is about to win his 3rd in a row as well.
And as he should. Again,
yes.
Especially if you go into the second half of the season, Cooper Pratt continues to hit well. Luis Lara is still a part of this team. That's all because Matt Arnold helped scout those guys and bring them into this organization. And now they're important parts on the field. There's very few other teams across the league that are able to get that type of production out of almost any prospect that they bring up. And that's credit to the GM. If we head on over to the YouTube dugout chat at WI Sports Radio, Brenton says the Brewers organization is on the same page from top to bottom. It's a well-oiled machine, and they just keep finding young, good potential prospects.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. The other part about this that is brought up over here, and it's very generic. It's not specific, right? 262. They play old school baseball. The only thing they are near the bottom is home runs. They run, field, and pitch way above average. That home run topic conversation we're going to get into coming up here at 4:20. So you just keep it tuned into them for that. Charlie Sounds of the Day is coming up next. Don't forget Potawatomi Sportsbook. Yeah, 2,000 square foot center screen. Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen, man, full menu. Homemade pastries and desserts made every day there at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Plus, you have over 40 beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails to go along with it, and 2 levels of seating. Always can reserve your seat ahead of time. Go sort your food and beverage bill for that night. All you have to do is go to Potawatomi.com. And of course, don't forget, take the shuttle to and from Brewers home games, including tonight. Make a $5 wager at the Potawatomi Sportsbook today and ask for your bracelet after you do, and you can get on their shuttle and be on your way to American Family Field later tonight. Check them out today at Potawatomi.com. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Fiver with you. Habish, and Rotier. They're always with you when you need them. National reputation, hometown service. You just visit them online at habish.com. 13 locations around the beautiful state of Wisconsin. If you're listening to us in WNFL in the Fox Valley, Green Bay and Appleton, they're there. Wausau on the game, they're there. To the Fan in Madison, they're there as well. To the Fan in Milwaukee and southeastern Wisconsin, there are multiple locations down here in southeastern Wisconsin. They've been doing it since 1930, almost 100 years, serving injured Wisconsinites and going to battle for you to get you what you deserve at the end of the day. You have a very, very scary proposition when you got doctor bills mounting and you're trying to find a vehicle because your car's totaled, you're scared, you can't sleep, all of that. Put everything you have, all your trust, into people that are the best at what they do. Habish, and Rotier. Check them out today at habish.com.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, Charlie, using where to?
First up, we're going to head on over to Get Up on ESPN as college football meetings get underway. You have a lot of the media days getting started. Kirby Smart, head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs, was discussing with Peter Schrager about the SEC potentially breaking away from the NCAA.
Yeah, I've actually been saying that for a long time to our president and our administrators that, my frustration is I sit in a meeting and so many times I sit in a meeting, and I learned this, I think 11 years ago, my first SEC head coaches meeting. I had a coach tell me, we will not get anything done in these meetings because we don't have any power or any control. We sit and say what we want, but that doesn't necessarily come to fruition. So I've learned that, until we get governance and we have someone that actually has the power to make decisions, or we can make decisions within our own community, we're not going to have much control. And that's unfortunate, but that's where we sit right now. And if that's the best alternative to get everybody playing by the same rules, then I would want to do that.
I just don't see this actually happening. I don't see them breaking away. I just don't.
They need the Big Ten to do it.
I think there's a lot of talk and a lot of, we're going to do it. But y'all aren't going to survive without everybody else. It's just not going to happen. Yes, you have big money deals and everything else, but I don't see how this works. And if it does happen, it's going to be a sad day in college sports if we ever get to that point.
I don't think you need everybody else to do it. I think you just need the Big Ten to do it with you. And right now, by the sounds of it, the Big Ten doesn't want to do it with you. It started with both of them, the conversation. Now it very quickly went to just the SEC talking about it. You can't do it on your own, and you're going to get embarrassed if you do.
That's correct.
Next up, we're going to hear from Packers tight end Tucker Kraft on what motivates him.
This has kind of changed throughout my life. I'd say early on, it was definitely my father. He passed away when I was 12 years old. So that was my greatest motivator. And then my mom got sick when I was in high school. I had to come to realization that no one else was really going to be able to pay for my tuition in college except for me. So that's why I really started playing football and working out real hard so I could get a scholarship. And here I am now. My greatest motivation now, I would say, is my little family that I've created alongside my wife, Bailey. Get to go home every day to a wholesome household, and my teammates.
And your teammates. It's 100% accurate, and Charlie will see this as he gets older. Everything changes. What makes you happy changes as you go through life, right? What your goals are and what you want out of every single day changes as you go through life. Life is much different single than it is with a significant other. It's much different single than it is with a significant other and a child. It's much different than it is with a significant other and several children, right? Those are all different lives, completely different lives. Somebody with one child is not living the same life as somebody with 4 or 5 children. They're not even close to being the same life at that point. And those people's goals are much different than they were when they were, say, in their 20s and single and carefree and not having anything to worry about but themselves. So you definitely change as you get older. There's no question about that.
Oh, yeah, I believe it. I believe that already in the 2.5 years I've been here that my life has changed a lot.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's not all you.
I apologize.
It's been for good things.
Okay.
Like a lot of it has been good. It's been a lot of good changes. I've had my girlfriend by my side, so I haven't had that experience of being an adult and transitioning into a relationship while being an adult, that's a little different. So I've been blessed to have that and have her by my side. Yeah, it's a weird world, but those will always be my motivators, my family too.
Correct. Robbie McElroy earlier today talking about how he's going to be 65, did he say? When his baby that's on the way in November graduates high school, and how she wants another kid. And they haven't even had the first one yet. He's like, no. I'm only going to have one. Watch how the perspective changes when he holds his baby. Watch how all of a sudden that second one doesn't seem like such a bad idea after all. His perspective will change in short order as well. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you, Charlie Usen producing. Up next, Green and Gold update. Things Sparky missed, all straight ahead here in the 4 o'clock hour.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, here we are. Third hour coming up, leadoff show at 5 o'clock. Taking you up to 6:30. I'll be hosting that bad boy coming up. We'll hear from Pat Murphy from before today's game. I'm sure they will talk some more about the Miz getting pushed back. Brandon Sprout will pitch in his spot as we get through the next time through the rotation. So it's going to be another deal where potentially he could pitch once a week here. I don't know how long they plan on doing this for. But after this last week, he pitched once. Mechanics were all screwed up, according to Pat Murphy and Miz. So they yanked him after 4 innings. Murphy said that's part of being off for as long as he was off. And then you probably come back the next day and say, oh, and he's going to miss. I don't understand the logic. Coming up, we'll get to our green and gold update. We're going to have a conversation that we had last year concerning the Milwaukee Brewers because it's as relevant this year as it was last year, and the Brewers ended up losing at the end. So we'll get into that. And then things Sparky missed, Aaron Rodgers, ESPN, all kinds of stuff. But somebody reminded me on X, it was RJ Thinks, I guess, on X, said this changes everything, Sparky. And I knew this because it came out this morning at like 9 o'clock. I don't know, Charlie, if you saw this yet or not.
I don't know. You're always very vague whenever you ask me that.
Sirius XM is adding 42 of Odyssey's leading sports news and talk stations to its already unmatched audio lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Milwaukee station, the Fan in Milwaukee, is owned by Odyssey. So the Fan in Milwaukee, this all will start September 1st, right? That's when all of these stations will be on the Sirius XM in your car, whatever else. The Fan in Milwaukee does not make in the first group, which is going to be pretty much everybody that has a car was going to get it. However, stations available on the Sirius XM app and in the growing number of vehicles on the road with the latest generation of Sirius XM with 360L radios. I don't know what those are. But anyways, so the newer vehicles that have these 360L radios will also have these additional stations in their cars as well, right? So like 92.9 ESPN will be in their car. The Fan in Portland, the Fan in Baltimore, WQAM in Miami, the Game in Atlanta, the team in DC, 97.1 the Fan in Los Angeles, the new one. But also in that group of stations will be 105.7 the Fan in Milwaukee will also be on your Sirius XM car dial as well when this thing's launches September 1st. But again, this will be available on the Sirius XM app. You'll definitely be able to listen to us that way in Milwaukee. And also in the growing number of vehicles on the road, the latest generation of Sirius XM with the 360L radios, I'm assuming are going in newer vehicles as they're getting produced.
Sirius XM 360L is actually a subscription service through Sirius XM. So all cars are with those Sirius XM. The ones being made 2021 plus come with a 3-month subscription with a 360L.
Yeah. So very good. So if you have that 360L subscription, then you'll be able to tune into the station in Milwaukee on your Sirius radio without arguing and fighting about, oh, your frequency isn't big enough. I can't hear you where I live. Can't you do something about that in Milwaukee? I don't hear those complaints in Green Bay because WNFL is a flamethrower, right? That covers the entire Fox Valley. They don't have those issues. Wausau, Duluth, Superior, Madison, but this would be obviously a pretty cool deal. I didn't bring it up. I should have brought it up. I should have known to bring it up, but I didn't. So starting September 1st, you'll be able to find us in Milwaukee there as well. And in fact, if you are a Chicago person that lives up here, 104.3 The Score in Chicago will be available right away in most vehicles and on the Sirius XM app. They're one of the first 9 that are available right away on all of them starting September 1st.
Very cool.
So just another way for people to listen to their favorite radio station.
This is going to be a lot of fun.
I think it's a huge game changer because now if you are, driving around in California versus trying to stream it from wherever, now you can just dial it right up there and be able to listen to it.
Be nice and easy. You can hear Sparky scream in California too.
It's beautiful. I mean, you can do it now, right? Yeah. You can watch Wisconsin Sports Daily and the Growth Law video stream on Instagram Live, X, and YouTube at WI Sports Radio injured, growth gets it. So there's all kinds of ways for you to check this out, but that's just another fun way to do it. It is 4:00.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, so every day we do something with the Packers. I saw something this morning that I found entertaining. The reason I found it entertaining was because it was actually something positive on Jordan Love. I know.
Shocker.
I almost fell off my chair. I thought I was seeing things when I read it. I really did. And it was written by Connor Orr, who traditionally the last couple of years has not been the most pro Packers person in the entire wide world and has been far more Chicago Bears leaning than he has been Packers leaning. But he points out in this piece on SI, I think last season was a narrative buster for Jordan Love, whose pocket presence often conveyed a sense of erraticism beyond the truth. Love is athletic and can see the field well, which motivates him to take chances, many of which get home. He finished last season with the lowest bad throw percentage of his career in a full season sample size. His percentage of on-target throws was also a career high. He ranked third in down-and-down efficiency behind only Drake May and the EPA god, Brock Purdy. His completion percentage over expectation was better than Josh Allen's. All of this is to say that Love is set up to start the season on a monster run, with the Packers likely to be favorites in their first 4 games against the Vikings, Jets, Falcons, and Buccaneers. This will be a solid confidence-building runway and ease Green Bay into the point in the season when Micah Parsons should return from last season's torn ACL. Now, I want you to listen to this next part. And I want you to be honest and tell me whether or not this has crossed your mind in the entire offseason as being a Packers fan. Because I don't feel like it's crossed my mind. I know it hasn't crossed my mind. I know that for sure. But it's a hell of a good point. Connor Orr writes in SI. The Packers were really only blown out once last season, had 5 one-score losses and a tie, and were one disastrous quarter away from making the second round of the playoffs. I'm often biased towards teams like the Packers, who underperform with some of their best players over a team like the Broncos, whose best path to the Super Bowl has seemed to already materialize. But I want to go back to the line where he says the Packers were only one blown-out loss last season, had 5 one-score losses and a tie, and were really one quarter away from making the second round of the playoffs. How many of you listening right now as Packer fans, if you're a Lions fan, with all due respect, I don't care, just Packer fans, okay? How many of you this offseason have either thought of it in your own brain, had a conversation with, one of your kids, had a conversation with a coworker or other family member, but man, yeah, they didn't go to the Super Bowl, but man, they were like this close to potentially being the best team in the NFC last year. I mean, they were right there from being the best team in the NFC last year, and they lost Micah Parsons for a good part of that season last year, and they were still right there on the verge of doing this. And again, we talk about one-score games in baseball. And I asked the other day, the Brewers are 1 game over 500. I wonder where that ranks. Well, there's a graphic up. I'm going to go over on the leadoff show today. They're 2 games over 500. It puts them in the top 10 in one-run games in baseball. There are some teams that are god awful. So when you talk about 5 chances in games in which it was a 1-score difference that you could have potentially have won with a drive difference or one thing changing, and you were that close to being that dominant throughout the season, I don't know, man. As a Packers fan, I look at that and go, man, there is a lot of reason for hope and optimism right now, looking at this thing, knowing how close you were really to, achieving all the objectives that you had. I mean, think about it. If they win 3 of those 5, they win the division. They win 3 of 5, they win the division.
I think this is the same argument that a lot of people are using for why the Chicago Bears are not going to do very well this season is because they won so many one-score games late in these clutch moments that they just can't.
Because it's hard to repeat that.
Exactly. And I think on the Packers side of things, it's hard to repeat being that unlucky sometimes, and that you are going to win some of those games this year moving forward just because the pendulum is going to be swinging back the other way. It's going to even out a little bit. I think the one thing that does concern me a little bit about what we're talking about here is that the fact that the Packers, I think, occasionally played to their opponent's level, and that those games that they lost by one scores, yes, they lost by one score, but they're really low scoring games where the offense just sputtered or couldn't figure it out. The 13-10 loss to the Browns, you moved down the Carolina 16-13, Philadelphia 10-7, until later in the season when your defense started struggling a little bit more and you just got more opportunities on offense, so you had to match the scoring. But I think moving forward here is that, yes, you do have to think that the Packers are just going to come out on top because they were so unlucky last year, but you also can't match these down opponents. You can't match the Browns anymore. You can't match the Panthers anymore. You have to go out there and prove, and this kind of goes with what I've been saying all season with this Packers offense, that you are here to be a Super Bowl contender, that you are here to dominate in games like that. When your defense is helping you out, you got to help them out a little bit too, and be able to just take care of the Browns, be able to take care of the Panthers, be able to take care of an Eagles team that struggled at points last season and probably wasn't at the top of their game, had discourse inside their locker room that was a big issue. You should have been able to beat them pretty well in a game where their offense looked really bad too.
You brought up the word lucky early in your little monologue there about this. How much do you think of winning or losing one-score games in the NFL goes into luck versus goes into coaching versus going into prime players executing in big moments?
I think it's obviously a big mix of all of those things. They play out pretty equal. I think luck is a smaller portion of that. I think to some degree what the Bears were able to do at the end of last season was because Ben Johnson knew what he was doing and had a good plan in the bottom of those games. And that Caleb Williams does have a clutch gene. You can't deny that. He's going out there and throwing the rock. I think with the Packers, sometimes a lot of that was unlucky towards the end of the games, and that the Bears, yes, have this plan, but there was luck involved with those too, and that things just kind of worked out in their favor, that calls went their way late on in these games. So yes, it does have a big piece, but I think the coaching and the players are a bigger piece. I think the Packers have really great coaching and really great players, and last season, that unlucky piece, that luck piece, was just a little bit bigger than it normally is.
The other factor in all of this is when we say lucky or unlucky, do you think that the guy that runs this thing at the top, Mr. Policy, that might be part of the reason why he still gave LaFleur that extension, even though Packer fans were blaming LaFleur for losing said games throughout the season and saying this is on him. He does not know how to win a tight football game. This is on Matt. Do you think that the head guy said, I agree with Charlie? I think some of it is just flat out just not being lucky. And next year, meaning this upcoming season, you might see the exact opposite. And all of a sudden there's 12, 13 wins and making a run in the playoffs when the luck goes the other way.
I think so, but I also think it puts a bigger spotlight, even more so, on Matt LaFleur by Ed Policy. And yes, saying, okay, I recognize that you had a lot of unlucky moments, but now I'm going to pay you because I know that you're a really great coach. Go out there and prove it to me, and don't let the same thing happen again. Because if it happens 2 years in a row, it's not just luck anymore. It becomes a trend, and that's a problem.
Yes, that obviously does become a problem if you get to that point. The other part of it is Jordan Love. And we read over some of the numbers there from Connor Orr in the SI article to start the segment about just some of the steps he took from previous years to last year and how he kind of busted now into that, regardless of how people do these rankings, into the top 7 statistically among other quarterbacks. That's going to be the other thing that's going to dictate how far they go. Is there another level for Jordan Love to get to this year that maybe propels him into the top 5 or maybe propels him into the top 4 and he takes another step forward with his production? Because I think it's fair to say for most people, well, probably all athletes, you get better, and then normally you start to plateau for a little while, and then you start coming down on the other side. Very rarely do you see a player just go up, and then slide down the other side, and there's not a plateauing for a few years while you're kind of just the same player every year. The big question becomes, when will Jordan Love get to that point of plateauing? And when that happens, is he at that level good enough to win a Super Bowl once he's plateauing for, that 4 or 5 or 6 year stretch before he starts coming down the other side?
Yeah, and that's a big question. Cam Newton's one of those guys that hit that peak and then fell down right away immediately,
Yep.
and that has to do with a lot of his play style. And Jordan Love just doesn't have that same kind of play style. So I think you can expect him to keep taking steps forward, and that his peak hasn't hit yet because he hasn't won an MVP yet. I think that's a lot of guys what they expect their peak to be. So as long as they haven't won that MVP, they think they have another step to get to. And I think Jordan Love has that type of mentality. He's taken that next step every single year. One thing that worries me is, yes, we talk about him as a young quarterback, still only 3 years of starting under his belt, but he's also still a little bit of an older guy in terms of guys that have only started 3 years in their whole career. And that the fact that he has had a little bit of a longer career now at this point, despite not starting the whole time, does that say that his ceiling could potentially be lower and that we may see a plateau sooner than we think?
I don't know. I think there's examples of guys that are older peaking still as they're older. Steve Young is a prime example, right? He played in Tampa Bay, then he was out of the NFL, then he came back into the NFL. I think you can still peak and get better to a certain degree, but eventually, from a mental side, you're going to tap yourself out. And then from a physical style of play, you're eventually going to tap yourself out.
Do you have to hit a
perspective.
bottom, though, at that point? Because I think there's a few other guys that you can name. Like more recently, Sam Darnold had hit a bottom at some point before he took that next step as a quarterback.
Yeah, but I mean, in his case, his bottom came early in his career. He had nowhere to go but up outside
Kurt
of out
Warner
the league.
had to hit
Geno
a bottom.
Smith was another one, right? But when you talk about how they're going to go about quarterbacking now in the NFL, if you look at Mendoza, who the Raiders drafted, I was reading, was it this morning or yesterday, that the plan there is in Las Vegas, they ain't going to start him. They're going to sit him and they're going to let him learn and figure things out. That is something Tom Brady believes in, thinks it was a huge benefit for him to sit behind Drew Bledsoe, and they're going to let him sit there and play behind Cousins and see how that works out with the Raiders. And then eventually, he'll get the job, obviously. But to start the season, it sounds like that's Cousins' job, and he's just going to try and figure it out and learn. Because they didn't run a pro offense at Indiana.
I think Drew Bledsoe, though, at the same time, was still actively a good quarterback when Tom Brady took over for him. I think if you go into the season, Kirk Cousins looks like Kirk Cousins from last season, where he's struggling a whole ton at the beginning of the year. You make a change pretty fast. Like, this is a number 1 overall pick versus a 7th round pick.
I disagree, because there's no expectations on the Raiders to win next year. So if you struggle and it's not good, fine. Then you end up with a really, really high draft choice in every round again next year, to which you can now stack some more really talented players and then let Mendoza go be that guy. Maybe you can get a stud wide receiver early in that draft next year to give him a true number 1 weapon. Maybe you can add a stud left tackle. I'm just throwing positions out here, folks. I don't know what's in the 27 draft, but I'm just saying all of those might be options. I don't think you rush and panic and go, oh man, we have to at least have 8 wins or 9 wins this year.
Why did you draft Mendoza this year and not wait for a better quarterback draft in the next coming years? Because that's what everybody else decided to do instead, basically.
Brady loved him.
I mean, then start him. Like, at least if you start struggling, play him. Like, don't let him sit for an entire year like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I disagree. I think sitting is the best way to do it. I think it benefited Rodgers. I think it benefited Jordan Love. I think it benefited Patrick Mahomes.
All those guys were a little bit later picks. They weren't first overall picks.
Well, that's true. You're right. That makes it different, right? The pressure that comes along with being 1 overall is different than being somewhere in the mid to late first round. That you're 100% right with. All right, take a quick time. I'll come back. We're going to switch gears back to the Brewers. There was one thing last year during the summer and heading into the fall and heading into the playoffs that everybody was saying was an issue for the Milwaukee Brewers that had to be figured out. And that because of this issue, nobody wanted to pick them to come out of the NL and potentially go to the World Series. The same issue that was there last year still is sitting here currently as we speak in July with the trade deadline coming up. What is that issue? We'll tell you coming up. Hey, are you looking for a college where you can excel in the classroom and on the field? At Bryant Strand College's Wauwatosa campus, you can compete in NJC AA Division II athletics with more than 20 men's and women's teams to choose from. Keep playing the sport you love while earning your associate degree in business, healthcare, criminal justice, or digital marketing. Athletic scholarships are available for those who qualify. So again, baseball, basketball, soccer, I believe they've got over there, track and field, all these different sports to where you can go and continue to play It's not Division III, it's Division II. It's a JUCO, so you play 2 years there, but there's scholarship money, which makes it more affordable for you to go to school for those couple of years. And then if you're really good, maybe have an opportunity to continue playing at a Division I level for 2 more years after that. This is the way to go. Visit bryanstratton.edu. If you're in Wausau, Duluth, Superior, Appleton, Green Bay, Madison, Southeastern Wisconsin, they're talking to you. You can come from wherever you want. If you're streaming us in Minnesota, Michigan, Illinois, they want you. Iowa, come on over. They'll take athletes from wherever. They want to help you get better and get to where you want to be in life too. Check them out. Visit bryanstratton.edu. Visit bryanstratton.edu and discover how Bryant and Stratton College is built different for you. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Fiver, Charlie Usen over there, other side of the glass. Summer's better with a Frosty in your hand for a limited time. Wendy's is giving you a sweet deal on your fave summertime treat. A small classic Frosty for only $1. That's right. Summer should be fun, not expensive. Treat yourself and celebrate $1 Frosty summer at Wendy's. But hurry, because this deal's over when the summer's gone. So get it while it's hot, or, cold in this case. Charlie, we got some breaking news on the Brewers.
The Milwaukee Brewers?
Yeah, the Milwaukee Brewers for some breaking news. This just in. Jacob Mizorowski will now pitch on Sunday. Brandon Sprout now has been moved to Monday in San Francisco. So now Miz will pitch on his normal rest. And everything that we were complaining and screaming about there in the first hour or so of the show, you can pack away and say, no need to worry about it. Now, you know what I'm going to say to this, right?
What happened?
You're damn right. That's exactly what I'm going to say. Yeah. What happened? So, I mean, something. Somebody said something to somebody, and somebody said, okay, I guess I'm fine. Let's go back to doing what we were doing. I don't know Mizorowski. So I don't know if Mizorowski would have the to go in there and be like, dude, I'm pitching. I'm pitching every fifth day. Like, I'll be fine. Just trust me. Let's go. And they said, okay, if you say so, we'll do it that way. I don't know really what happened, what changed, but this is positive, I think, for Jacob Mizorowski. Now, we'll see what the plan is going forward with Miz and the Brewers as far as skipping starts and doing whatever they have to do to try and keep them fresh. I mean, maybe the deal just is, you put them on a pitch count. You're going to throw 75 pitches every outing, not more than that. If you get through 5 innings at 75 pitches, sweet. No problem. No big deal. He's got into the 5th inning with like 50-some pitches, I believe, in some outings.
Not to be like a Debbie Downer or anything.
Oh, but you're going to anyhow.
Not Jacob Mizorowski, but do you think there's injury news coming for a different pitcher in the rotation? And maybe that's part of the reason that they want to just put Miz back in his normal spot instead of messing around. Because if you felt comfortable with the group of 5 to 6 guys that you had already, yeah, you can go about changing the way that you do your starts and everything like that. But now that you're reverting back to what you have been doing after saying that you were going to change everything, that there's potential one of these other guys there could be news about?
Well, I mean, Kyle Harrison news came out earlier today, diagnosed with the L forearm extensor tendinopathy. Sure. Currently being treated conservatively. That must be what a concern, Pat Murphy, that he hinted at yesterday in the pregame presser. Planned 4-up live BP scheduled for Saturday, with a rehab assignment on July 31st to follow, early August 26th return. But we talked about that in the leadoff show after we heard Pat Murphy. I was like, he's not coming back anytime soon. If we're talking about having up and downs and then a rehab assignment and all of that to make sure he's healthy to go. So, I mean, maybe that has something to do with it as far as him not coming back as soon as they thought. I guess that could be a part of it. I guess I'm not convinced that's necessarily what it is. We'll have to wait and see. DL Hall is getting closer. He's going to AAA for an outing. Next planned outing is on Wednesday. 2 ups for that one. And then late July, early August return for DL Hall. Adding him into the back of that bullpen for the Brewers, I think, would be a big addition for this Brewers team right now to get DL Hall back.
It would be huge, but just like everybody else, he needs to stay healthy. He's been so good when he's been able to pitch so far this season, but just like every other season, he ends up back on the IL at some point. We need him to stick around for a little bit just to give Aaron Ashby a break, give some of these other relievers a break, because they've been doing so much good work lately. It would help to have one more really good arm in that group.
It totally would. I agree with you right there on that one. Okay, so this was from 3 days ago. So these numbers have changed, obviously, in the last 3 days. But this is from Thomas Nestico, who I think is a really good follow on X at TJ Stats. Really, really good. Home runs, team home runs. The Yankees are first at 142. Tied, now this is again 3 days ago, tied with the Nationals at 142. Astros 133. White Sox, the team I thought the Brewers might have a chance to play here. Probably a pipe dream. 130. The Pirates and the Dodgers 128. Are you looking at the home run numbers?
I am looking at the active ones.
So I can't ask you what the Brewers are. Folks, again, 3 days ago, and you've got the active numbers up right now. So what's the leader right now?
So the Washington Nationals have taken lead with 147 home runs, with the Yankees at 146.
Okay, so that's 5 home runs in 3 days for the Nationals then, right? Where are the Brewers?
The Brewers are tied for last in the MLB with the Arizona Diamondbacks, but they have 94 home runs. So I think they've had
hit
plus
4
4 since that.
And last, because the Brewers were at 90 and dead last with Boston, who, by the way, 14-game winning streak.
Boston has 95 home runs.
Right. So they hit 5 home runs, including Caleb Durbin. I think hit one yesterday.
He's been awesome.
Yes.
Apparently.
He's been really, really good as
Joey
of late.
Ortiz or Caleb Durbin, guys.
We said that before.
Let's bring it back up now. Both of them are hot.
So really, that's the thing that I think the conversation is going to come back here the closer we get to the playoffs, as far as, can a team at the bottom on the home run standings really win a World Series? Is that really a thing that's going to happen? Because more times than not, you're always told in baseball that power wins in the postseason. That's just how it's been for as long as people care to remember. And right now, the Brewers aren't even close to even being middle of the pack at this point when it comes to their home run numbers. And then when you talk about the trade deadline, we talk about getting a stud starting pitcher. We talk about getting a reliever. And then there's some talk about go find a third baseman to play. But depending on what happens here with Joey Ortiz, if he continues to play well, that could very well affect what they do at the trade deadline. If they think Joey Ortiz has figured it out and is now going to just roll the rest of the way through, and they take that gamble that it's going to be okay with Joey Ortiz, that could be something that happens. And as much as I know there are all these Joey fans out there, Joey, I get it. But to add a true impact bat would be great. I just don't think there's really anybody out there to add at this point that would come in here and make a huge difference at that position as far as, moving the power meter up. Now, do I have an idea of how to move the power meter up? Yeah, he's in Double-A. That's how you move the power meter
There's
up.
2 guys in Double-A that you could potentially bring in that could change it.
Well, I mean, Fisher's coming up on 30 home runs.
Yeah, but Madej has pop too.
Madej's at 11, I think, at this point. You bring Fisher up and put him at third base, yeah, then your home runs are going to start to come up. Your strikeouts are going to go up too, but your home run power and that legitimate pop would come up. Do I think they're going to do that? No, they're not going to do that. But that would be another way to look at it. And I'm telling you, I said this earlier, within 3 years, there's no longer going to be any questions about, the Brewers don't have enough power. Because as these guys get here from Double-A and Triple-A, there's going to be so much power oozing out of that lineup. Brewer fans aren't going to know which way to look. Everyone's going to want to sit in the bleachers to catch home run balls in like 2 or 3 years because they're going to be flying out of that stadium.
It's going to be so cool to watch that team moving forward here. I think a lot of Joey Ortiz's future, I guess, with this team moving forward, even this season, I think relies a little bit on how well Cooper Pratt does too.
Right.
I think Cooper Pratt playing well and continuing to go on this rise that he's been on keeps Joey Ortiz at third base. And if Joey Ortiz stays at third base and continues playing like this because he feels confident and comfortable at third base, then you have something going here. But if Joey Ortiz has to move back to shortstop at some point because Cooper Pratt struggles again like he did at the start when he first came up, or he's just not figuring it out, then you still have to go find a third baseman, and then Joey Ortiz is going to rotate in with Cooper Pratt when it comes time towards the playoffs, towards the end of the season, and your role diminishes again. So Joey Ortiz wants Cooper Pratt to keep winning at shortstop, doing well at shortstop so that he can stay at third base.
I have MLB Network on here in the studio. Obviously no sound.
Mm-hmm.
They were literally having a conversation of the Brewers don't know who their shortstop's going to be come the postseason. What are we talking about? It's going to be Cooper Pratt. Why wouldn't it be Cooper Pratt at this point?
Because people aren't sold on him for some reason.
That's crazy.
I love him. I think he's awesome.
I do too. MKE Scott says, what do you think of today's lineup, Sparky? So we're going to go over the lineups and all that stuff on the leadoff show. No Jake Bauers.
Mm-mm. It's an interesting lineup. I kind of like it overall.
Jackson Churio, Bryce Terang, Contreras at DH, Vaughn at first base. He missed the ball last night. He should have had. Garrett Mitchell in center field. Gary Sanchez catching. So you get Sanchez and Contreras both in the lineup. Lara in right field. Pratt at shortstop. Joey Ortiz batting ninth. Do you like leaving Joey Ortiz at 9, even though he is really, really hitting the ball right now and not moving him?
Yeah, because I don't really want to move Cooper Pratt at all. I'd rather he's more comfortable than Joey Ortiz is, if I'm being completely honest. Same with Lara. You've been playing him in that 5 to 7 range a lot. You don't really want to move him around all that much if he feels comfortable. I think Joey Ortiz, if he's just hitting well and doing well where he is right now, you leave him alone. Along with these other young guys, if they're feeling good, you leave them alone.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. It's Brandon Sproat tonight against Zach Thornton for the New York Mets. Thornton 0-1 with a 2.6 ERA. He only has 3 starts so far this year. So we'll see how that whole thing plays out. On the other side, we'll get to things that we missed on today's show. And, there's a lot to get to that we missed on today's show. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Fifer, Charlie Usen tonight after the last pitch. You make the switch. Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show with Tim Allen and myself here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network tonight, 9:30 to 11. If you ever miss it, you can go to the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show page right there, wisportsradio.com, or you download your favorite podcast, or Best Brewers coverage page. That's the way a lot of people like to do it, because then you get all the different interviews from all the shows. Whenever somebody's talking about the Brewers, all those things get loaded into there. So however way you want to do it, it's up to you. wisportsradio.com, wherever you download your favorite podcast apps. It is the last segment, so we get to go do this.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now.
All right, let's get to it. I found this clip earlier today from Pat Riley, and this was on the Dan Le Batard show. Riley was really, really good on the Le Batard show. It's really good.
They have a lot of good interviews on that show. That's definitely an underrated one. Even though people love Dan Le Batard already, he just flies under the radar a little bit. Really good show.
Well, it helps that he's in Miami where Riley is.
That's true.
To get Riley or Wade or whoever else he gets in there. So Riley on the Dan Le Batard show talking about young players like Tyler Hero struggling to accept kind of being in the trade rumors like the entire time he was in Miami.
And the ultimate contradiction in leadership in sports is that while you're preaching loyalty and you're preaching trust, in the same sentence you will tell them, I will have to trade you one day. And that's part of the business. So if your name pops up in a trade, and if it's just a rumor, because everything's a rumor today. I mean, it really is. And it emanates from social media. I'm not blaming them, and online and podcast, and, they got to get it out. And it's not true. And I tell them, I said, it's just going to happen. Don't get upset. Tyler, it affected Tyler for many years. Every single trade had him in it. Every single trade had somebody else in it. And so reliability is important, but there's a question mark to it, because they have to understand this is a business, and you got to teach them that.
That goes right along with what we were talking about earlier with Miz. They decided to start sitting him and not pitching him as many innings, trying to protect him from potentially, being hurt or being tired for the postseason, and trying to keep him as fresh as possible, with the World Series really being the end goal and not him winning the Cy Young, and understanding everything that goes along with that. That is the mental side of it, whether it's seeing your name in trade rumors for the first time, or for the third or fourth straight year, seeing your name in trade rumors. You look at Jaylen Brown. That dude's been through the ringer 2 or 3 times in Boston before they finally moved on from him. And he was sick of it, I'm sure, of, all right, dude, if you don't want me, then just move me. Let's call it what it is and let's just go. And I'm sure Tyler Hero was in that same deal. And it's hard to blame them for getting mad, because, again, maybe not Tyler Hero's case, but you have a guy that's got kids and a family and everything else. They're in school, and now they're talking about trading away dad, and now dad's not going to see their kids until, the off season or whatever. Like, there's just a lot that goes on with that, normal average fan does not care about, because, well, that guy makes millions. Who cares what he goes through personally? But he's still a human being, or she is still a human being at the end of the day, that still has to go through all of this other stuff when their names get popped up in a trade rumor.
Well, and they've built places. They've been important parts of these teams, like Jaylen Brown specifically. I think that's what bothered him more, is that even though he was playing at an MVP caliber standard for the past couple of years, it's always going to be Jason Tatum's team. Yep. And that's what it was going to be. And I think that bothered him. That's why his name kept coming up in the trade rumors. I think Tyler Hero was in kind of the same boat, as much as I think he liked playing with Bam Adebayo until later towards the end, because then they start punching each other after they ran into each other at Summer League. Yep. I think he probably enjoyed that, but also felt like that he deserved more credit for the continued success of the Miami Heat, and he just wasn't getting that love. It was just always trade Tyler Hero. He posted a video earlier today too, showing his reaction to it. It was not very radio friendly for it.
I saw it.
So he was talking about it, but he seemed mad that the Heat did it still, and that it seemed like that they just almost disrespected him despite him wanting to be there and what he felt like being a contributor to that team. And that was the problem. It's not even that, I guess, that he feels like he wants it to get over with. He wants to be in Miami. This is frustrating. This is all a frustrating situation. Now you just hope that he comes to Milwaukee and wants to get better so that that doesn't happen to him again. Khalil Ware put out a story on his Instagram of him working out with Hakeem Olajuwon. That's something that's really cool, really fun to see.
You love to hear that.
Exactly, because he's a guy that probably feels a little disrespected for the way things went in Miami. He wants to come to Milwaukee and start anew and have this moment of, I can take that next step. If hopefully that's the case, I hope that happens with Tyler Hero too.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't see the Khalil Ware Olajuwon thing, but as a Bucks fan, you love to hear that. The other thing that popped up yesterday, Aaron Rodgers taking pictures with mom and dad, and it looks like all is well in the world again. Ian O'Connor, who had wrote a book on him, says on Aaron Rodgers and his family, they had been working towards reconciliation for a while. Rodgers invited parents Ed and Darla to his Pleasant Valley High School Hall of Fame induction in April, introduced them to the crowd to applause, thanked them for the support. My book, Rodgers spoke of embracing his father at the Lake Tahoe Celebrity Golf Tournament in 2023 and expressing their love for each other and called it a special moment. The first time they had contact in nearly 9 years. That opened the door. At the time, Rodgers called the reconciliation definitely possible in a matter of timing. The timing was right last night for the Steelers quarterback to make it public with his photos on Instagram. Rodgers' JUCO coach, Craig Rigsby, was among the longtime friends who encouraged him to reunite with his family. Aaron praised Rigsby at the PV induction ceremony for the impact he's had on his life. That's cool, man.
That's cool that they're taking that time to reconnect. It's kind of sad that, it feels like football kind of took him out of it now that he's winding down towards the end of his career. Now he feels like he's comfortable enough to do that. I think that's huge for Aaron Rodgers to take that next step as he takes the next step in his life too. That's really cool to see.
Yeah, man. I understand some people don't talk to their parents for whatever the reasons. Parents are stealing from them, parents, whatever. Dude, you only get one set, man. That's it. Some don't know their mother or don't know their father. Some are put up for adoption early, don't know their real parents. Go through it is so many tragic stories that would love to have a mother and father that raised them and did everything else. And then just to stop talking to them for whatever dumb reason it may have been. That's just crazy. PJ Tucker was on the Club 520 podcast. That's Jeff Teague's.
Yes.
The more I see clips of Jeff Teague talk, the more I dislike Jeff Teague.
Dude just played at the NBA like it was 2K. That's how he thought about everything. He could just be the star of everything. And if it wasn't working, he didn't want to play anymore.
PJ Tucker says Jeff Teague packed his truck after the Bucks and went down 0-2 to the Nets in 2021 and said the series was over. Quote, he said, "Bro, we're not winning this series." He literally said, "I don't know why you're even playing so hard," said Jeff Teague to PJ Tucker. I don't like that dude.
Hey,
I don't.
He
like
helped win a championship, I guess.
Nope.
You talk about all the time that if you win a championship in a city, that you're always welcome back in that city. Is that going to be the case with Jeff Teague?
He can stay out. Some other things that we missed on today's show as well. Cooper Pratt. How about this for Cooper Pratt? Cooper Pratt last 15 games, 313 batting average, 862 OPS, 7 walks to 7 strikeouts. Joey Ortiz last 15 games, 319 average, 947 OPS, 3 homers, and 7 RBIs.
This is starting to get a little fun.
Hot damn.
I want to see Cooper Pratt hit a couple more home runs, and I'm going to be really, really excited.
How about my guy Jim Goulart on Mass_Haas on X? Are Caleb Durbin, Andrew Monasterio, and Anthony Siegler the only players in MLB history to be on a team with a 14-game winning streak in consecutive seasons?
Oh, probably.
I would think so, right?
Probably. Wow, that's pretty crazy. I didn't even think about that at all. I just thought it was cool that the Red Sox were doing that well. Anthony Siegler just got engaged and announced a baby, too, so congrats to him. Your favorite player.
Which one came first?
I don't know. I think you can assume by both of them being announced at the same time, but I won't speculate.
I don't know. I was asking. I don't know. Also, congratulations to friend of the show, Mike DeCourcy, on announcing his retirement from the Sporting News.
Congrats.
Been there it's covered 30 Final Fours for the Sporting News. 30 Final Fours.
You've seen a lot of history, man.
Yes,
that's awesome.
30. And Mike DeCourcy's come on our show numerous times over the years, and very happy for Mike. We're going to have to get Mike on again and talk U.S. soccer. I mean, we don't have to talk college basketball, but him and I, need a U.S. soccer conversation because he is very, very opinionated on X about U.S. soccer, and we need to talk about it. That'll wrap it up for today's show for Wisconsin Sports Daily. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget, tomorrow, join Mitch Thunder Nellis and the leadoff show at Explorium Brew Pub in the Third Ward tomorrow at noon. Have some lunch before Milwaukee plays the Mets. Then they'll have it on the TV. Hang out, watch the game while Mitch broadcasts the Mason Crosby show till 2 o'clock right here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. So again, Explorium Brew Pub in the Third Ward in Milwaukee tomorrow from noon until 2. Go hang out with Mitch Thunder Nellis. Coming up next, the leadoff show. We'll get you the starting lineups again in case you missed it earlier when we did it. And we'll also hear from Pat Murphy, who, according to Charlie, had a super long pregame presser today. Talked about a bunch of different stuff. And then after the last pitch, Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show with Tim and myself. Talk to you in just a couple of minutes. Don't change that dial.